An absolutely brutal week in the world of the UFC. June, what looked like a very promising month with a ton of loaded cards, are falling off one by one after weeks of speculation. With this McGregor Chandler card, Conor McGregor officially out. Alex Pereira and Jiří Procházka stepping up on very, very short notice. About as good of a replacement fight as you can get, but obviously nothing beats a McGregor fight week, a McGregor card. Last Monday, so like last Sunday, Monday, the news broke that the Ireland press conference was canceled, and that was where all this speculation began, right? It was clearly on McGregor's side. Chandler and McGregor both put out very ambiguous tweets. No one knew what was going on. Somebody knew what was going on, though. Do have a guy on the inside who said that he thinks McGregor is hurt. Cannot reveal my sources, unfortunately, but that might be breaking news. Conor McGregor has suffered a minor injury ahead of his bout with Michael Chandler. This fight is not happening, at least not on June 29th. I didn't get in this industry to make friends. I got in this industry to break news to our fans. So, Conor McGregor out. Jiří and Alex are in. Justin, I know we're still up in the air. You might be making the trip out there. I know as a big McGregor fanboy yourself, how are we feeling about this news, about this fight being off? And so what are your thoughts on this fight being officially called off?
Dude, devastating news, obviously. The biggest star in the sport. Obviously, a guy that I and a lot of fans of the UFC wanted to see make his return, in Conor. Pulls out for the first time in his career, which is pretty crazy. I think that tells you that injury could be pretty significant. I mean, Ariel is saying that he could fight in about a month or two, but for a guy like that to pull out, I think the injury has to be somewhat significant. So sad to see, especially at this stage of his career, where I mean, it's crazy to think that Conor's like somewhat pushing 40 here soon. So this stage of his career, to see the injuries start to pile up, see him pull out of what was going to be such a historic event isn't ideal, but UFC rolls with the punches. Dana and Hunter work their magic. They do give us a great main event in Pereira versus Jiří. Can't wait to see Jiří get that revenge back with that stoppage when he stops Alex here in 2 weeks. Now, when Dana gets on Twitter here and he's talking about Anthony Smith as a replacement, I don't want to – it doesn't sound very exciting, but he sure sold it on Twitter. We got Lopez and Ortega as well. They did a good job of kind of band-aiding the card. But like you said, there's no event like a McGregor event, so – we'll have to wait for the greatest return in combat sports history. Sadly,
how long
season. So
how long will we have to wait? So that's where I kind of want to. Well, we have a little bit more to break down about this, but they said August, like the end of August, I believe, is the new target date, because they were very clear. This fight is not canceled; it is postponed. That was the same thing they were saying. When the presser was postponed, I guess is what they're saying. So very clear that they were just moving this back, rescheduling. As I initially reported, this was a minor injury for McGregor. I believe something with his foot or his lower body. I mean, obviously, he fucking shattered his leg a few years ago, so you could assume it was something with his leg. But a minor injury. They tried to see if he could still fight. Again, it seemed like this was a very back and forth, a very interesting was about a week and a half. Originally, everyone said he's out. He's hurt. This fight is off. And then there was a lot of optimism coming in. It was like, okay, now, whatever. Now it looks like this is trending in a positive direction. The fight still should be on. Chandler. Now, we're going to talk more about this bum in a little bit. But Chandler was doing interviews saying, like, the fake news media, this fight's happening. I don't know what you guys are talking about. This fight's happening. But I'm not sure that Dana and Hunter were being all too honest with my guy Michael Chandler, because it seems like he was not really in the loop, because literally the day of, on Thursday, correct? I think on the Thursday the 13th at like midnight, which is also hilarious. That's when Dana put the video out, hoping everyone was asleep. Not us. We were up journalisming. But the day of, hours before, Chandler tweeted, I don't know if you saw this, he tweeted like, amount of times Michael Chandler has pulled out of a fight, 0. Amount of times Conor McGregor has pulled out of a fight, 0. So like clearly they were not keeping that guy up to date. I really think they were doing everything in their power to make sure that this fight happened. But again, it's being postponed. Now, with those air quotes, do you think that this fight is going to happen in August? Is this fight just going to move back a little bit? If you're Michael, or I want to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think so. Also, I do think that the UFC, like Dana and Hunter, I think they're not trying to share like McGregor, whatever. It's like kind of been kept on the low what injury he has, and I think he's probably asking for that because I mean I wouldn't want my opponent to obviously know what injury I have going on either. But yeah, dude, I think the fight has to it has to happen at this point. Chandler's waited this long; he's clearly willing to wait some more. Like I think the fight absolutely ends up happening. Conor, dude, as much as I know Conor's made all the money and he's, at a point of his life where it's like, does he need the fighting? Absolutely not. But I think we'll see him. He's not going to let there's no way he lets the career end like this on a pullout. No chance. So I think he'll show up in August or September, whenever they make the fight. And I think we'll get to see a masterclass performance, a left hand, whatever it is. Conor puts his lights out to maybe sail off into the sunset, or maybe he takes his title shot against Islam that he rightfully deserves after a win like that. That's sarcastic, by the way, but
but wait, but what about Leon? He might have his pick of the lit. Does he want to fight welterweight? I think he wants all the belts, as he once said. Get that triple champ status. Where's my third belt when he takes out Leon here before this year ends? So a few things. I mentioned this Inside the UFC, I believe it's called, which is unbelievable. Must-watch television. So kind of Hunter Campbell's coming out party to a lot of more casual UFC fans. I think it's been pretty clear that this guy, has a lot of say in what goes on behind the scenes. Obviously, Dana is more of the face, but it seems that Hunter Campbell might be the big dog in that room. And we're seeing with that Aljamain Sterling video, which is just hilarious, that guy might be a little bit of a gaslighter, right? And kind of says whatever he needs to get what he wants. So I'm seeing some good memes. It's like, I'm sure this is kind of what was going on behind the scenes with Hunter talking to Conor. Like they really tried to make this fight happen. He's like, dude, they're saying you're afraid of Chandler on Twitter, dude. Like, I don't know. I mean, they're kind of calling you a pussy. So I don't know. Like, also another great meme is like a very old picture of Michael Chandler as like a 70-year-old. And he's like, I almost fought Conor McGregor. I almost sniffed the red panties. And everyone's like, yeah, shut up, grandpa. So if you're Chandler, dude, like, I feel for the guy. It is hysterical. I've been ripping on him a good bit. But if you're Michael Chandler, do you still want this fight? Like, I feel like this the McGregor mind games that we've seen, nobody has been able to get into the psychological warfare. Like Conor McGregor really wrote the book on that in this like modern day era of the UFC, and nobody's done it better than him. This might be his best trick yet. I think he has really, I don't know. If you're Michael Chandler, how do you feel about like, oh, actually, we're just moving it back another 2 months? I know this fight, a lot of people were talking about it, literally 2 years ago, and then he went and made a movie, and then he beat USADA single-handedly. Oh, maybe he'll never fight now. And then like you just kept calling him out this whole time. He was partying, he was on yachts, he may or may not have been coked out of his mind. And now this is actually just a minor injury, business as usual. We're moving it back a couple weeks. You say that you think it's happening. I do agree with you, but if you're Michael Chandler, I can't imagine what's going on in this guy's head. The week of him saying, you guys are wrong, this fight's happening, nobody's told me different. Maybe nobody's told you different, but the fight is not happening. So the mind games have been taken to a new level. If you're Chandler, is it time to move on?
So for me, I look at it like, dude, Chandler's at a point in his career, right? Again, what's Chandler, 37?
37, yeah.
Yeah. So he's at a point of his career. Let's be honest. Is he contending for a true title? Like, is he a true title contender at this point of his career? Is he one of the most entertaining fighters? Yes. And it's like, he's made the money. He's gonna make more if he fights Conor, obviously. And it's like, if I'm Chandler, I wait. He's already waited this long. He might as well wait it out another couple months and cash in on what he obviously, I think, looks at as his best opportunity to, one, raise his popularity and fame even more. And I think he probably assumes that it's an easier matchup than most of the guys at the top of the division. So for him, it's like, I understand why he's doing it. It's also, I'm sure, a payday that's gonna, who knows what type of payday he's getting. He might get the Cerrone treatment.
80 and 80.
Yeah, 80 and 80, Chandler. You know, we're going through some tough times after the Conor pullout. This gate's going to take a huge hit. We might move you down to 80. But if I'm Chandler, I'm definitely waiting it out. He's already waited this long. It's not like he's the number one contender in the division. It's not like, you know what I mean? It's not like he's an Armin. So if I'm him, I'm waiting it out, cash in on this huge event, and see what happens. What would you do the same if you were him?
Yeah, you're spot on with all that, bro. Like, first of all, I mean, we can talk about the entertainment he's brought to the UFC since he's been nothing but great fights. And yeah, is he championship material? Yes. And the whole thing about how dumb the lowest fight IQ possible, all these fights that haven't gone his way, like, are a couple different decisions away from, him being probably a champion. Well, not probably. I mean, if he could have beat Charles, the Gaethje fight was super close. The Gaethje fight, he was kind of winning, and then he just put his hands down. Poirier, he was beating Poirier. But he's lost all these fights. So like you said, it's not like this guy is like sitting there knocking on the door of the title. Like, if this guy had won those fights, like, he lost to everyone. He lost to all the big dogs in the division. I'm not saying that he wasn't just as high level as them. Like I said, he could have beat all of them. He looked great against all of them, but they go in the record book as a loss. So it's not like this guy, and even regardless of that, once that initial McGregor call out happened, actually the original McGregor call out happened after he sparked Dan Hooker on the McGregor Poirier card back in January of 21, his first fight in the UFC. So he wanted red panty night from the moment he stepped foot in a UFC octagon. So I agree with you. I think he's going to wait. I've been waiting for 2 months. I've been waiting for 4 years. What's another couple months? My question was more like, it looks like it might not even happen at this point. And like you said, yeah, who else would he fight? Like some Armand? Like, yeah, it's not like stylistically, McGregor is probably, well, not stylistically, it's not a great matchup, but in terms of skill right now, we still don't really know what it looks like for Conor McGregor. And to your point, he'll make more money in this fight. I don't think he really cares too much about the belt. If you go out there and you knock out and you potentially retire Conor McGregor, the most popular fighter in the history of the sport, and make a lot of money doing it, does a good amount for your brand, right? So, and he, I know he does his YouTube, he does a lot of stuff. I could see him kind of getting into a somewhat media commentary role. Welcome on the pod anytime. So I think he's going to wait, but like at this point, I think McGregor has a better chance to win at the end of August than he did at the end of June, just because I feel like if you're Chandler, you're probably going insane, and you're still not in the back of your head through all this training, through these 5 a.m. wake ups these next couple months. In the back of your head, you got to be like, he better not pull out again. right?
Yeah.
You agree with this? Like that has to at least play a little bit of a factor in his head, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. But it's like, Conor's not the guy. Like, dude, it definitely took like something serious for Conor to pull out. He's definitely like not. He just fought Poirier with a cracked leg like the last time. Like he's fought time and time again on major injuries. So it's like, yeah, I mean, I think if they made it for August, September, and Conor was for some reason to pull out again, then obviously I think the fight would be done. But yeah, I mean, Ariel was saying something about how they gave Max a call to maybe do like Max versus Chandler, but I would assume Chandler was like, well, if Connor's going to be ready in like a month or two, I might as well, is understandable. So
Yeah. Well, so I guess let's shift gears here into that. The new main event, Jiří Procházka gets another crack at the belt. About they fought when in November at MSG versus the UFC light heavyweight champion, the new face of the UFC. Probably, I would say this guy's got to be the biggest star, not named Conor McGregor. We'll obviously break this one down a little bit more once it gets closer to the fight. Actually, we'll be breaking with this one down in person, Ballin' and Brawlin' first in-person episode coming to you live in a couple weeks from, I can't reveal where it is actually, but we will be in person, Justin and I, very excited to get some live stuff. Not live, I don't know why I keep saying that. Some in-person stuff out to you guys soon. So we'll be breaking down that fight in person. But talk to me about, first of all, again, we got to shout out Dana and Hunter Campbell for making this happen. They do always seem to pull a rabbit out of the hat at the last minute. I mean, we are sitting here 2 weeks from today. This fight is happening 2 weeks from today. And they pulled out, I mean, how many bigger fights could they have made from this? Like not even as a replacement fight. This is a massive, massive fight. So kind of what are your initial thoughts on this rematch? And what do you think of the UFC being able to pull something like this out in just a couple of weeks?
yeah, so dude, obviously, like I said, it's probably one of the best replacements the UFC could have done, especially at this time where it seems like there wasn't a lot of options. We got talk about two electrifying fighters, two got just straight KO artists, two of my favorite guys to watch in the sport today. Honestly, I mean, both very entertaining guys, strikers. I mean, it definitely going to be a very entertaining fight. The first fight, I don't know if you went back and watched, but I think that Jiří was winning pretty comfortably. I thought Jiří like almost had started to have Alex like on his way out of there, and then Alex landed the famous left hook, the counter, and put Jiří out. So, I mean, I'm very excited for the rematch. I think obviously it's a winnable fight for both guys. They both have devastating power. And yeah, man, you got to tip the cap to freaking Alex Pereira and what he's doing in this short run with the UFC, man. I mean, win or lose, just what he's been able to do, the fights he's taken. I love that I mean, given his weight circumstance, it's not a hard cut for him now to get to 205. So it's like, it's great that he can just take a fight on 2 weeks notice, and like we're gonna see a great fight. But yeah, dude, I'm excited for it. Obviously, wish we would have had Conor and Chandler. I think everybody's wants that, but not gonna complain about this one. Very, very entertaining fight for the 205-pound title, which we will break down here in the future. But yeah, what are your early takes on this main event?
Yeah, these are two of my top, I don't know, 3-5 favorite fighters. I love these guys. They embody everything that it means to be a martial artist, not only from their fighting style, but just their background, who they are, and everything they represent, man. I mean, I was kind of torn. I was a little bit heartbroken when they fought in November. And obviously we know how that one went. And I agree. Jiří was really picking up steam in that second round, right? He clipped him with a right and kind of seemed to be charging in looking for a finish before he got caught with that left hand, as it seems literally everyone does against Alex Pereira. I do need to rewatch. I meant to rewatch the fight before we got on here because the first round, Pereira had that leg beat up for sure, but like it doesn't seem like that really matters with Jiří. Like he's kind of in that Tony Ferguson category. And truthfully, I don't really like, I guess, Nate Diaz, but like, honestly, he's kind of in a category of his own. What I did watch recently was him versus Rakic again. And holy shit, he was getting, that was like a near 10-8 first round. Like he was getting his ass kicked, dude. He was getting the shit beat out of him. So it doesn't seem like, obviously it's a 5-round fight. It won't go 5 rounds. Pereira will beat up that front leg, but it really doesn't seem like that affects Jiří will be able to walk. It looks like it pisses him off more. Like, he does that, like that weird kind of thing where, he's kind of grunting and snarling. But again, this is like the closest thing we get to like real life, modern day gladiators, these guys. At any era in human history, these two would have found their way to fighting each other, and we get to be alive to see them do it twice on the biggest stage. Pretty awesome. But I want to shout out, I got to shout out both of them. First of all, Jiří Procházka, like I just said, that fight was 2 months ago. It'll be a little over 2 months by the time they fight at the end of June. He got beat up, so he won the fight. But he took a ton of damage against that guy. So he took a ton of damage. Very close turnaround. I know Pereira also fought on that card, but he didn't get touched. Did Jamal Hill touch him once? I know now they're saying he might have had a broken toe going into that fight, and he might have broken more toes during that fight. But again, we got to remember who we're talking about here. Like a broken toe for me, I might not get off the couch for like 2 years, but a broken toe for Alex Pereira, I don't think he would even really realize. So I don't think the broken toe is like a major storyline for Alex Pereira going into this fight. But it will be interesting to see if Jiří Procházka is fully recovered and ready to roll for this one. But real quick before we move on, Alex Pohatan Pereira. Oh my goodness. Is he
CHAMA.
Like, what does that grunt mean? Like, I don't even know what CHAMA means.
I don't know.
He literally ends, he just goes, and everyone's just like, fuck yeah, dude. That's fucking sick. Dude, he has headlined MSG twice, headlined the world's most famous arena twice. Within the last 8 months or 7 months, he has headlined Madison Square Garden, headlined UFC 300, the biggest fight card in years, and now headlined International Fight Week. The guy is a bona fide star, man. I can't say enough about this guy. To think that how short he's been in the sport and that he's accomplished so much in this little time. I know everyone knows this. I might have to pull it up. I think he's fought like 5 UFC champions, and people want to say, oh, they cherry pick non-grapplers. I mean, like a lot. I mean, that is kind of true, right? I mean, he probably should be fighting Ankalaev, but who cares? He beats them all, and he does it in the coolest way possible on the biggest stages possible. So he deserves all his flowers. UFC 300, we remember, was not supposed to be him. They clearly sent offers to literally everyone else, and it ended up being Alex Pereira, game as always, saving the company. In November, John Jones, the monstrosity that was John Jones versus Stipe, the disaster that would have been, he saved the company, and they said, you know what, he already was the co-main, so it's a little bit misleading, but they're like, you know what, now you're headlining Madison Square Garden. Sure, bring it on. Couple months later, Alex, we need you again. UFC 300. We're marketing as the biggest event in combat sports history. Obviously, John Jones still can't do this one. You ready to roll? That's all you needed to say, brother. Let's roll. Broken toe. Couple months later, hey, Alex, again, International Fight Week, another massive card. Conor McGregor, he's not fighting. You ready to roll? I'm not sure what that means, but okay, let's do it. Obviously, Jiří just probably kind of bowed and hit him with like this type of thing. And now he's rolling as well. Bro, Alex Pereira, kind of a Yoel Romero situation. You wish he got into the UFC a little bit earlier because it would be very interesting to see all he would accomplish. But I believe he's 36 years of age, might be 37. I mean, oh my goodness, to think that all this started from the rat Israel Adesanya calling him out. I beat that guy one time. Guess what? Izzy every time Pereira fights now says, I beat that guy one time. It's one of the best storylines in the history of sports. Their relationship, what brought Pereira to the UFC and what he's done since. I mean, just headliner after headliner. He is now, has he surpassed Izzy in terms of star power? Probably not. But actually, I mean, he's right there.
Probably not Izzy, like just because he doesn't speak English. So he probably, like, if he spoke more English, I bet he would be close. But let's make no mistake about it. Israel Adesanya wants no part of Mr. Pereira. He hit the old fans with I rope-a-doped him, and that's how he won the last fight. The guy was about to
playing
get sparked
possum
again.
He was playing possum.
He was about to get sparked once again. I mean, Pereira was literally dominating the fight, and then Izzy lands a shot, and he goes, "There's no need for a rematch. It's only infinity to 1, and there's no need for a rematch."
Dude, that was
a lot of Tanya behavior, but hey, like we said, we tipped the cap to Alex Pereira. Like what he's doing, the fucking short notices, the constant stepping up to the plate, delivering. It's been an awesome run, and just it's so entertaining to watch him fight. Especially, they are throwing him in there with all these strikers, but hey, we don't complain about a striker versus striker KO fest. We don't complain.
We'll break down that one a little bit more in a couple weeks. We could not be more excited. Obviously, hopefully, we see Conor in the octagon at some point in the next couple months. Who knows if we will at this point? This sucks with this card changing up, but I mean, again, could it get much better than Pereira versus Yuri? Probably not.